Our next movie we watched was actually a random surprise one we did, where Tanner wanted us to watch this one in theaters, so he paid for us all to go out to it, that being the 2025 film 28 Years Later. Tanner, do you want to do the synopsis of this and your pick, or do you want to give this one to Dylan to describe?
Dude, I would absolutely love to do the synopsis of both.
Then go for it.
So 28 Years Later is about 28 years after the rage virus. We are told through some text on the screen that 28 weeks later didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so the virus is all only in Britain again, and the entire world decided, fuck them, I guess. And so we're introduced to this group of survivors who are on a tiny island off the mainland, and they send out scouts and / hunters to, I guess, they're not really bringing back food, or are they just going to the mainland to kill infected?
No, they talked about how they go there to get lumber and stuff like that.
To me, that felt like they were saying they had, like, lumber crews who did that.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe they're just, like, looking for supplies or something along those lines.
Yeah, when they were in that building, they were there for the purpose of scavenging. So, yeah, I assume they're there to, scavenge, kill infected that are close to things, get locations of, like, alpha villages, and, get raw material, or, like, hunt,
Anyway, the point of this movie is it's basically a coming-of-age film for our young lad, Spike. He is 12 years old. His dad takes him out on his first trip to the mainland. Stuff seems fucky-wucky. They have a sick mother, and the kid finds out there is a doctor on the mainland, and he takes him to the doctor, and shenanigans ensue. And then the doctor kills his mom almost immediately upon meeting him. The end. Also, yeah, and it ends with, like, the kid is no longer, he's just out there in the wild now, I guess.
With a bunch of, like, blonde Europeans.
Yeah, a bunch of dang hooligans.
Yeah, a bunch of weirdos in tracksuits. Fun fact, so Danny Boyle wanted to say this film was filmed on iPhone. And so they use this just insane rig of, like, dozens of iPhone 15s all strapped together on a gimbal, and that's how they shot this thing.
I saw, no, they had two rigs. They had one where it's, like, a really fancy, like, lens setup and all this shit for, like, one iPhone, but then they had all those shots where they're, like, you'd see a zombie get headshot, for example, and then
the Call of Duty kill cams.
Yeah, then they do, like, a surround shot of it where it, like, switches the angle, and yeah, that's where they have, like, 15 iPhones in a semicircle, and they just, like, cuts between all the perspectives, which is interesting. I saw that both of their setups, they're both crazy. I think it's disingenuous to say this movie was shot on iPhone, which it was, but also it was based on, like, probably tens of thousands of dollars of lenses and all this sorts of fancy other equipment.
Right. Guys, I need to real quick just make sure I'm not insane. This movie was bad, right?
Oh, thank God.
Oh,
Tanner, what are you ranking it?
we were scared.
I have a larger than usual range right now. I'm in between a C- and a D.
Interesting. Dylan, what about you?
I gave it a B-.
Okay. Jackson?
I'm also sitting at a B- personally.
I'm currently sitting at a B or B-. So, Tanner, this is just obviously better than the other two films. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, I thought this was terrible.
I thought this was better than the second one, but worse than the first one.
I mean, it's easily better than the second one. Let's not mince words here.
I guess I genuinely need to know. So, like, the biggest problems I had with it was a lot of the editing decisions, the cutting in footage from other movies, and the weird cutting to like weird night vision scenes, and the only way I can describe it, the off-tempo way they would cut between people in conversations and all this weird shit they were doing. And then also the music was fucking terrible. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. The comedic moments that felt so out of place and inappropriate for whatever we were trying to do. Like, all of this stuff took me so far out of the movie that I was literally sitting there from the opening scene. I was like, okay, this doesn't feel right. Something is wrong here. And the entire movie, I was just like, I wish they would stop filming it like this. I wish they would stop doing the editing like this. I wish they would stop using this kind of music in doing this. Like, to me, none of it gelled in a way that created a cohesive, like, anything. It felt like he was trying to do like an art house film and was just throwing shit at the wall to try and make it feel interesting, and none of it worked for me.
I absolutely agree with you on the schizophrenic editing. It's fucking horrendous. I hated it. But they did get their shit together. That stuff only really lasted for like the first third of the film, and then they're like, oh, hang on, we should make this film not terrible. And so they just edit it pretty normally after that point.
I don't know, man. It stood out to me throughout.
It was certainly very bad at the first third. Like, holy fuck. But I agree with Nico. In the last like 2/3, they definitely toned it down a bit. It's still not like normal movie tier at all. They do a lot of just like random like cuts in between, like a close up for no fucking reason all the time. It's still very strangely shot, but it definitely gets better. It's got a lot more like long panning sections where you're kind of taking in the environment, which I feel works a lot better for the setting they're in. But it certainly isn't a great looking movie in the end.
No. Also, like the way they use the poem from the trailer, you know, one of the greatest trailers I've ever seen, it didn't work. It didn't fit the scene in any way. It wasn't blended into the soundscape in a way that worked at all. It just seemed insane. And there are two examples I can specifically think of that were just really weird decisions on how to do a thing. You know, one was the gas station where they drop to the ground and it explodes.
They should have died.
But only from like, yeah,
Oh,
the middle
100%.
of what the fuck was that? That doesn't make any sense. And then fucking an infected giving birth to a non-infected baby. And then Dr. Kierson explains it. And he's just like, the magic of the placenta. I'm like, what?
Definitely not how that
That
works.
doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, diseases get passed on to children all the fucking time. It's strange that this wouldn't be a case of that.
Yeah, it's like I'm willing to accept that, you know, the infecteds have evolved and because they had to in order to stay alive for 28 years. So, you know, like they can eat now, which is something they don't do. But like, there is one of the reasons you would have a child protagonist in a world like this is so that you can explain the world to your audience in a natural way. And they do very little of that, frankly. Like when the father is taking the kid out, he's instructing him on what to do, but he's not really explaining what anything is or why it is the way it is, or even going so far as to say, oh, we don't know why that's like that. And so there's so many gaps that we, the audience, are having to fill in on how this world even functions. And if I was having a better time watching this movie, I'd be willing to fill in those gaps. But since I wasn't, it just falls apart even more for me.
I think the reason they were doing that is because they're trying to get less in like the perspective of the kid. And it didn't work. Let me preface that. A lot of the imagery in the first third of it was trying to make us imply that the island and the survivors were kind of like a cult, or maybe not like a cult, but, you know, they had a lot of comparisons to, like, you know, raising these kids on violence, like the Nazi youth and things like that. They're very unsubtle about it.
Yeah.
They didn't let us draw our own conclusions. They were like, this is what's fucking happening with these people. And like, okay, whatever, sure. Show, don't
Yeah, I
tell
just think
type
the
shit.
audience is stupid is what that felt like.
But I assume the idea is because they're trying to make it seem like this is a much more nefarious village than it actually is. We don't see them do anything that bad. I feel like they're totally benign for the most part. But they have like this big story that they're withholding from us about like the dad withholding information from the son. Like, why? There's nothing that he has not told him is like a mystery or is gonna fucking hold him back. There's like no big secrets that are revealed, so it all just seems fucking pointless. Just for like them to jack themselves off about like comparisons to the Nazi youth or some dumb shit. It's stupid as hell.
Yeah. Even like the big secret is like Dr. Curson, but then when the dad does tell him about, or no, when the fucking uncle or whatever does tell him about it, it's like, that doesn't even Doesn't seem like that big a deal.
Yeah, it's not a fucking big deal at all. They're just dumb. It's like it makes no sense for them to hold that back. If anything, just tell the kid the guy's crazy and just not even give him hope. Like, I don't know why the fuck he's trying to hide it from a curious young child in the first place.
Yeah.
Speaking of the kid, though, I thought he was a great actor. He did a good job. You know, we see a lot of terrible fucking child actors in these films. We might talk about them later in this episode, but in this film, he did a good job.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Spike was the standout part of this movie. I think he gave a great performance, and I do think his basic character arc of, like, having to sort of become a man before he's ready for it was pretty compelling.
I think the big issue is that he's just fucking retarded. It's so hard for me to, like, believe the kid that was just scared shitless and, like, was, like, not, like, begging to go home, but, like, he was, like, desperate to want to go home. Given he was chased down by a fucking alpha and almost killed like 2 separate times by being rushed down and fucking up and realizing that he isn't prepared for this. Like, they set him up as like this, you know, he's got some confidence, but also he's not at the level he needs to be to survive out there. And then guess what he does? He takes his fucking disabled mom on like a multi-day journey to go see some guy that he was told is fucking crazy. I get it. He loves his mom. He wants to find hope for her. But it is just such an insanely stupid thing to do. And granted, he's a 12-year-old child, so maybe they can reason it behind that, but it's still so fucking dumb. And also, before I lose my tangent here, it's so interesting to me, too, that they have that random moment where the mom protects him in his sleep.
My God.
And it looks like she's like having an out-of-body moment or something where she kills that guy. And then she just fucking dies. She just gets killed. And like, it doesn't mean anything. So strange. What the fuck was the point of that scene?
Another thing with that was the editing on it. Like, why would you do it where, so they have, like, the bag and you don't see it's her, and then he wakes up and he sees the body, and then immediately
just
reveals
fucking
that
10
it was
seconds
the mom.
later, it's revealed it was her. I don't know what the deal with that was.
They do it so often. They cannot, for a second, stop just immediately telling us what's going on. Like, it's like the first third of the movie too, where there's constantly showing the fucking flashes of the red night imagery, and it's like, we don't need to know this shit. Stop fucking telling us.
Yeah. And I question for you, for you guys in your audience. Were there many reactions of like shock or fear? Like, given this is ostensibly a horror movie.
The only reactions I really heard were people laughing when the funny Swedish guy.
Yeah, they were
was.
laughing when the credits rolled, and they were like, "Oh, that's the movie, I guess."
Yeah, this movie has very serious tonal issues, and
it's
I don't know if the problem is I went into it expecting a serious movie that takes itself seriously, because that is not what we got.
Honestly, it felt like kind of a throwback to the first movie where there's that random half an hour where nothing happens and they're all just like frolicking in flower fields or some shit when the fucking European guy comes around, and it's just like funny, silly haha moments until he dies. So strange.
Yeah. Also, like, I know, again, this is you know, a nitpick, and usually I let nitpicks go, but I didn't really like this movie, so I'm going to nitpick anyway. He says he joined the Navy, but he has a NATO patch on him, which doesn't make any sense.
It's impossible to say. I simply don't know on that front.
Let me give one more positive. The thing is, I feel like there was a lot of missed potential here. Like, I feel like you could re-edit this movie into something good, because there are a lot of interesting concepts and really neat visuals here. It's just a lot of the way they decide to show that off just didn't work for me. And like personally, I thought the kill cams were insane. I thought it was absurd.
I was
they were
so
doing
scared
that.
going into this review. You're gonna be like, guys, what do you mean? Those kill cams were sick. I was a big fan of them, but no, they're just stupid.
No, dude, they're stupid. I was like mouth agape every time they happened.
I think I literally had a moment where I was mouth agape and I looked over at Nico with my mouth open as it was happening, because it's just, they do it so often too. There's like one of the earliest kills too, where like you can like clearly see the fucking zombie turns into like a CG model, and that just looks terrible as well.
Yeah, they often, it's really fake looking blood. It's and then I see a lot of people really complaining about the very, very ending with the goofy like tracksuit people, which totally fair. I didn't like the ending before that with Dr. Kirsten and whatever, just because like it's literally like they show up, she gets diagnosed with cancer, and then they immediately kill her. It's like no time passes at all. We don't like. In my mind, I was like, oh, okay, they're like trying to explore the theme of like being able to accept death or whatever. And then they tranquilize him and then just fucking kill her.
And
so
then
like
he's
they take
so
away
fucking chill with it. He's so fucking chill with it. What?
It's And does he even cry?
I think he does. I
Can't
don't remember
remember
entirely.
I don't have a distinct image of it happening. It's just like you needed to let that kind of stuff breathe and like don't tranquilize him. Like if you're trying to say like, oh, Western culture is afraid of death, which we are, and you want to kind of send a message about maturely being to accept the death of your loved ones, let the kid keep his agency, you know?
I personally don't have that much of a problem of her like dying so quickly. Presumably, she's probably like, well, you know, my mind's going. He's just going to keep trying to protect me as long as he can. That's just going to fucking get him killed. Which, like, you know, so will an infinite baby around a bunch of monsters that are attracted to sound, but whatever. But, yeah, presumably she just wants to... Yeah, she knows that things are coming to an end very soon, so she just wants to get it over with here.
I recognize her perspective. It's just so hard for me to understand how the kid's just so cool with this happening.
That is a big issue, though.
Yeah. Also, fucking, like, she had what she was saying there, where she was like, oh, you know, I thought it was cancer, and I didn't want to tell you or whatever. Like, what? Like, they heavily implied that she knew this was the exact problem, and that this is how going to the doctor would turn out. Which is... I don't know, man. I've never been this disappointed by a movie in my life.
We were all so scared you were going to be so fucking high on this movie. Because I've watched a decent amount of reviews, and it seems like it's just the two extremes. There's one half of people that think this movie's fucking peak, and it's amazing, and they love everything about it. And then there's another half, which is all of us, where like, this shit's kind of ass. What the fuck
well,
are they
hang on now.
talking
Three
about?
of us gave it like B minuses. We're like, it's fine.
I'm lowering my rank. I'm definitely...
Yeah. Dude, you know what movie this makes me think of the most? The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in terms of like why I think those are both bad, but in terms of like the reaction to them, where critics fucking loved both of those movies, and then they seem to be super contentious amongst audiences. Dylan, did you have many thoughts about the movie?
I mean, you guys pretty much said everything I was thinking. I definitely walked... I will say, I was telling Nico and Jackson this when we were walking out of the theater. There's... And you kind of justified it and protected it earlier. I'm not gonna really allow that to slip. I don't really like it when they introduce evolutionary viruses, I guess. I get that viruses change all the time, but when you're trying to force gigantism and also an evolved virus at the same time, that feels too forced. I already think that an evolving virus is forced, but then you also want to say these people are also just giant, presumably because they're like in Scotland or, you know, of the Norse like area or heritage. So like, of course, there's big guys.
I have no idea
around.
what the fuck you're
They're
talking
not really
about
giants,
right now,
Dylan. They're just more muscular. They said it's like steroids.
No, they're
yeah, and they said it was because of the virus.
I don't know. I don't like that. I've never really liked that trope in these kinds of... Regardless of whether it's zombies or robots or whatever the fuck.
What?
Don't worry about it. Anyway, but I definitely think... This is me rewriting the story, so bear with me here. I definitely think this movie would have been better if, one, they didn't have sequel bait. Let's just put that out there. And then also, I think it would have been better if on the outing the dad dies and the kid's unable to get back to the island and he's forced to survive out amongst the zombies. Because I think that would have been a much more like compelling story. And then we get back to the village to find that maybe the mom is recovering and like maybe the dad was like, you know, making her sick or something. And
I do kind of agree that would make more sense if the dad died on the first outing, if for no other reason than they take him out of the movie after their trip anyway.
Well, because this movie's so schizophrenic about its plot, it can't make up its mind, both in, like you guys were talking about, with the tone, like what it's trying to do, because it almost feels like there's no consequences for anything anybody does. There's definitely a lot of opportunities where people should have just died. Obviously, B characters are gonna die, but it's like Jackson said before, it's very unbelievable that this kid who's 12 years old, who couldn't hit shit while running away from zombies, thinks like... It's a huge suspension of disbelief to believe that this kid, after his first outing, is going to take a sick mom who doesn't know what's going on half the time, not an exaggeration, half the time, and is going to take her to some doctor that he said is a bad person. Also, from the story we heard about the doctor, he's like, oh, he waved at us while throwing bodies onto a fire, so we just decided to avoid him because he seemed creepy. That just seems illogical to me. Maybe I'm not thinking about it too much. I think their explanation for avoiding the doctor was very strange, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it was.
And then, yeah, the whole deal with, like, the infected giving birth to the baby and it's not infected. I was, like, waiting for, like, the mom to get infected by the baby because they were wrong. But then I kind of had a lingering thought of, like, how does that make sense if the baby's not infected? Because I'm pretty sure whatever the mom consumes or, like, literally any of the nutrients flowing through her body is distributed
There's
to the
also
baby.
a lot of blood and shit going on in childbirth, so like the baby or like even his mom didn't get any of that shit all on him that entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the fact that nobody got infected on that train scene is fucking wild to me.
And I guess childbirth just causes an infected person to stop mindlessly attacking people around her?
Yeah, like what? Is it like they were like trying to be like, oh, there's some.
They had a moment.
Again, to go with tropes that I hate. Because like, oh, this is a very human moment. For this one instance, there is like a bit of humanity left in this person that this mom somehow connects to. Anyway, what were you gonna say something, Jackson?
I was gonna say the first couple movies try to paint it as super fucking easy to get infected, and I don't know, I just kind of expected them to play with that a bit more this one, but they really didn't. The only time that was ever really a threat was when he shot the fucking not Benedict Cumberbatch, the fucking British guy from the first one, zombie, and he splashes blood on the mom. That was like the only time it ever happened. I just thought that was strange. It was a very minor thing, though.
And that, quite frankly, was the least likely of times for blood to splash on somebody. That zombie was a decent distance away. If anything, a scene that comes to mind is when the dad and the son are in the house and they're marching up the stairs and he fucking shoots that zombie and it flops towards him. That was a prime candidate for, transfer of disease, but...
Dude, the scene that made me think of that exact thing was when, Spike and the doctor are in that hole in the bottom with Samson attacking them from above, and we've seen in the first two that the zombies will vomit blood as a way of infecting people far away from them, and I guess they don't do that anymore?
I forgot. The fucking intro scene. I feel like the intro scene of the first two are very strong. I think they do a good job of just painting a picture of the bleakness of the scenario. I think the intro scene of this fucking one kind of sucked ass, I'm going to be completely honest.
It wasn't great.
Held back a lot by the editing, but also like it just felt fucking stupid and dumb.
It felt kind of cliche as well. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Well, okay, so like the zombies like burst into the room and like murdering the children. That was fine. It was when he got into the church and his dad or whatever the fuck, the pastor was just like, fucking come to me, zombies, eat me. That shit was really dumb.
I didn't get that. Yeah, the whole, they're trying to be like, this is the reckoning or whatever. That shit's retarded. But, yeah, and even in that scene, too, where the kid's, like, hiding in the vent, and he's, like, looking up, mouth open, eyes open, I'm like, surely blood's gonna, like, splash in his eye or on his face or something. Doesn't happen. And then also, that just doesn't get revisited till the end of the movie. I, no joke, was trying to figure out if the kid in the bed at the beginning of the movie was that kid. And so then I realized it wasn't, so then I spent the entire movie looking for that cross, because obviously...
I assumed the dad was the kid from the opening.
I thought that more towards the end of the movie, but then we just never saw the cross.
Yeah, I assume that as well. I don't know if... Is it the same child actor?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't know. British people all look the same to me.
But yeah, and then just to get back, so back to the whole mom thing, the infected baby, and then we're just supposed to believe that an infant, like Nico was saying, I think Jackson also hinted, I think we've all said it, an infant that constantly is making noise, and he, with his mom, makes a trip all the way to the doctor. The doctor, he's like, oh, iodine, the infected don't like iodine, which, okay, whatever. You haven't explained anything so far, so
What he
I
said
guess.
was like the disease itself doesn't like iodine, which is fine. Like iodine is sometimes used as a disinfectant. Sure, where is he getting all the iodine? Whatever.
Yeah, it's just like, and so, and then I'm gonna jump forward and skip back. We're just supposed. Another thing I hate. They show us the entire journey that the kid takes to get to the doctor. It's long, arduous, it's difficult. And then we're just supposed to believe he takes this newborn baby from the doctors all the way back to his village, and we're just supposed to believe that nothing happens in that potentially multiple day span. Like, you're just gonna yada yada over that whole thing, whatever. And then also, yeah, why is he just okay with everything that happens? Why is it the mom has cancer and then immediately, I don't really agree with Nico, like, why does the mom get cancer and she immediately dies? In my head, I was like, I should feel sad right now. I don't feel sad.
Well, she doesn't get cancer and then immediately dies. She's had cancer.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, but like, in my head, I acknowledge that I should feel sad. I should feel something. I don't feel anything. And I was trying to figure out if that was a me problem, but then when I realized nobody else in the theater was reacting, I realized it was a movie problem. And so, it's just, I don't know. And then it turned into one of those, the alpha wanted to kill them or get at them because he wanted the baby. So then I thought it was going to be a thing was like they'll have to run away from the alpha until they give the baby back, and then it turns into Jurassic Park 3 where they give the babies back and the alpha leaves him alone. But then that doesn't happen because he drops the baby off at the village, and then again, after being an inexperienced 12-year-old who almost died on his first outing, decides he can survive outside the village despite the only fact that he's alive is because the soldier and the doctor saved his life, and he literally did nothing to survive except that first instance protecting his mom. This kid, I'm glad you can give it the benefit of the doubt, Tanner. I cannot believe for a second that this kid has the capabilities to survive outside the village. He has shown no capabilities.
I mean, even in the final scene, he still doesn't even have the fucking
he still gets
capabilities.
saved.
Like, he kills, like, one or two zombies, and then he would have died if it wasn't for those people coming and rescuing him. Like, he has no... I mean, he has some character progression, but like, he still cannot do this on his own.
Yeah, no, he has... no character progression, no character development. The ending was fucking retarded. Those people should have been dead for many reasons, besides the fact that they're using melee weapons in a zombie apocalypse, and I've always been in the boat. I know this is just fucking, meta or whatever. I've always been in the boat of melee weapons are possibly the worst kinds of weapons used in zombie apocalypse. Not including the added caveat of if you get biomaterial on your being from these zombies specifically, you just become infected. I find it very hard to believe that not a single one of these people have died as a result of that.
Yeah, also that scene was just fucking goofy. They were playing
so
like a
stupid.
speed metal rendition of the Teletubbies theme song.
Yeah.
They're doing fucking kick flips, and
They're like the Chav Power Rangers.
I don't know. I just don't see the vision. Apparently, they're like a reference to Jim'll Fix It, which is some old TV show with a very infamous pedophile in it. I don't know, dude.
I thought we hated this movie for different disliked this movie for different reasons. I can't follow you guys with all the editing and shit. I don't watch or see movies that way, at least not yet. But I'm starting to realize this is why we talk about movies out loud, because I'm starting to realize that my rating is actually probably too generous now that I'm had a chance to really go over my thoughts. I don't know if, like I said, I think this would have been an entirely different, obviously, and better movie if the dad had just died in the beginning of the movie and the kid had to figure it out.
This just makes me question why the fuck I rated the second one a C+. I feel like I felt like I was much lower on that one than I gave it.
Now I don't know if I like the second movie more or less than this one.
The second one is still easily worse than this one.
I might have to lower it then because
I do not.
The first one was fucking full of
see that at
contrivances, Tanner. It's not the first one. The second one. The first one too, but like not nearly as much.
That is fair,
I
actually.
mean, this one is
Yeah,
also full
I'm just
of
saying they're all bad
contrivances.
movies.
You're gay and stupid.
You have literally had sex with men, Tanner. I don't know what you're talking about. You have
And yet.
swallowed their semen.
And yet.
Guys, I think we're getting a little off track. Are we done talking about 28 years later?
Tanner mentioned it briefly at the start and a little bit earlier, but yeah, the music in this movie is fucking terrible.
Yeah. It's not too
I
good.
swear we were gonna have a classic zombie movie trope where they're all partying and having a great time, and like maybe the alpha was like playing dead or something, and because they're all making noise and having a good time, all the zombies flood into the village and kill everybody, and then the kid has to survive. There were a lot of instances where I was like, alright, how are they gonna figure out a way to let this kid survive on his own? Because they definitely were seeming like they wanted to set it up that way, and that's usually the way that these movies go, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, they're zigging and zagging all over the place with this film. Baiting, switching ya, keeping you on your toes, as it were. Like, oh, when's shit gonna hit the fan? When's he gonna have to go out on his own to do stuff?
And then they choose the end of the movie to do it where it makes zero sense.
Very strange. I have given basically no positives towards
There's
this
some
movie. We've
fun
just been shitting on
shots.
it
There's
most of
some
the time.
good-looking ones.
Yeah, there's some cool shots. I think a lot of the like the fucking setting sun with like the dark shadows over the hill are cool looking. Like the fucking spinny thing they did. There's a decent amount of good shots. I think generally speaking, the setting looks really good as well. I like me a nice run-down, dilapidated-looking area. I wish a bit more of it was taking place in like cities and not just countryside. Granted, it would have been a lot more expensive for them to do it and like make a fake fucking city like that or CG it. But I think the movie's setting looked quite good overall. I also do agree. I think the acting of the kid was pretty good. I don't know if I'm crazy about the mom. I think the dad did a good job. Generally speaking, I feel like this is a relatively competently made movie outside of the weird editing choices and the very poor writing.
Yeah, I'd say I agree with my husband there. Generally, it's a fine film. There's a lot to bitch about, too, especially in the first, third of it.
First third is fucking ridiculous. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that shit. It was, like, genuinely hard to watch.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The decision to, like, cut in footage from other movies and, like, historical
It's
footage...
really stupid. I did not like that shit whatsoever.
It doesn't make any sense. Like they were I think I heard from a reviewer it was like footage from some like Henry VIII movie, like some historical medieval
some
epic.
bullshit. They're like, look, can you draw these parallels? Don't worry, we'll draw them for you.
And then the footage from 28 weeks later, like why?
The film that you're making non-canon.
Using guns. Yeah, the film that. Technically, they do acknowledge that it happened, but, like, they undo the consequences of that film. Which, like, on one hand, I agree that the franchise itself is more interesting if it is only limited to Great Britain, but unfortunately, like, you made a movie where you undid that. That's another point of, like, why The Last Jedi comes to mind when talking about this one, where it's retconning stuff, and I don't think it is setting itself up very well for a sequel.
So, I guess 2 questions on our way out here. That poem thing you guys were talking about, is that the random, like, radio lady saying numbers and shit or whatever? Is that...
Yeah.
I didn't get that. I guess that must have gone... Is that something I should have known ahead of time? Is that... What am I missing
It's from
anything?
the trailer.
Well, I knew that. I just... It seemed hyped for a reason. And then... So, you said they made it so the second movie wasn't canon. Is that just because... Like, I guess I missed that part. How did I miss
just because the second movie ends with the infected reaching mainland Europe.
Yeah.
And then at the very beginning of this movie, they say, oh, well, they pushed it back.
Huh. Yeah, I was gonna say, if that... I guess that saves it from the whole... So what... Not only did they not utilize the whole immune thing with the kid, but then also where is that plot line in this movie? Obviously 28 years later, it wouldn't matter, like, I think. But then it's like, yeah, what was the point of saying the kids have special DNA and they have some kind of immunity, and then they do absolutely nothing with it? So I guess in that regard, it does save itself, but maybe that's why they did it? I don't know.
Yeah, shit didn't matter at all. Anyway, we got any final thoughts on this film, or are we giving our consolidated, concrete ratings now? Fantastic. Jackson, you're saying you're lowering yours, right?
Not that crazy, man. I'm just giving it a C+.
Okay.
I am definitely going to be lowering the second one at some point. Don't quote me on that, though. I'm probably going to
I'll
forget.
try and remind you. What the fuck did you even give the second one?
Also C+.
Give it that high? What the fuck?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Oh my god.
I mean, Nico, you only gave it a C-. It's not like you're super far off.
That's a decent bit lower. Yeah, I'm going with my lower of the two ranks. I'm going with the B-.
Gosh. Given what I've said, I think it only makes sense to drop this to like a C+, and I'll just have to lower 28 weeks later.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just could not enjoy this one because of all these issues we've mentioning. So even like the redeeming, the quote unquote redeeming parts of it, they just like couldn't overcome it. Cause like the major problems I had were like the fundamentals of making a movie, like editing and music, So I think I'm gonna go with the lowest of my ranks and say a D.
Are you also going to be lowering 28 weeks later like us?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I did on the last re-rank. We'll see how I feel in the future. I still genuinely enjoyed that film.
And it lands at a C overall.
Whoa. That's about in line with what reviewers I actually like have been saying.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's very mixed.